Have you ever stopped it and asked yourself, do I actually want this, or was I simply taught to want it? Because sometimes the things we believe are our own choices aren't completely our own. Your culture can influence your entire life without you even noticing it. And I'm not saying that culture is bad. Culture can be beautiful. It can give you traditions, language, food, music, family, history, and a sense of belonging. But there's a difference between being connected to your culture and being controlled by it. And sometimes that difference is incredibly difficult to see. From the moment you're born, you're surrounded by expansions. You're taught how you're supposed to behave, what you're supposed to believe, how you're supposed to dress, who you're supposed to respect, what kind of career you're supposed to have, what a good person looks like, what a good child looks like, who you're supposed to date, who you're supposed to marry, how you're supposed to live. And eventually, these rules can become so normal that you stop questioning them. You don't even think, why am I doing this? You just think, that's how things are. But who decided that? Maybe your parents, maybe your grandparents, maybe your community, maybe religion, maybe society, maybe generations before you. And that's where it gets interesting. Because sometimes we defend certain rules without ever asking whether those rules actually make us happy. Imagine growing up hearing you have to make your family proud. You can't embrace us. What will people think? You have to follow tradition. That's not how our people behave. You're supposed to become this. You're supposed to marry that person. You're supposed to live this way. And eventually you can start living your entire life for other people's approval. Not because you want to, but because you're afraid of disappointing them. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of being called selfish. You're afraid of being called disrespectful. You're afraid to become the person everyone talks about. And sometimes the biggest prison isn't a physical place. It's the fear of what people will say. You can have freedom and still feel trapped. You can technically make your own decisions while mentally believing you aren't allowed to make certain choices. And that's something I think a lot of people don't realize. Sometimes we confuse respecting our culture with never questioning it, but question something doesn't automatically mean you hate it. You can love your culture and still disagree with parts of it. You can love your family and still create boundaries. You can appraise your traditions and decide that some of them aren't for you. You can respect where you came from without allowing it to completely determine where you're going. And honestly, I think that's something more people need to hear because your life belongs to you, not to your relatives, not to your neighbors, not to random people in your community, not to people who will judge you for making different choices. You only get one life, and you shouldn't spend that life constantly performing a version of yourself that makes everybody else comfortable. Ask yourself, if nobody could judge me, what would I choose? What would you wear? Where would you live? What care would you pursue? Who would you love? What kind of person would you become? What would you stop doing? What would you finally allow yourself to do, and maybe your answers will be exactly what you are already doing. That's completely okay. The point isn't to reject everything you've been taught. The point is to choose consciously. Keep the traditions that make you happy. Keep the values that generally mean something to you. Keep the parts of your culture that make you feel connected to your identity, but don't keep something simply because you're terrified of what happens when you question it. Because there's a huge difference between I choose this and I have no choice. And maybe growing up isn't just about become older. Maybe growing up is realizing that some of the rules you thought were absurd were actually just opinions passed down through generations. And now you get to decide what continues with you. You don't have to carry every expression you inherit. You can break certain patterns. You create new tradition. You can become someone your family never expected you to become. And yes, people might not understand you. Some people might criticize you. Some might say you changed. And maybe you have, but changing doesn't always mean you are becoming worse. Sometimes changing means you're finally becoming yourself. So don't be afraid to ask yourself uncomfortable questions. Is this really my belief? Is this really my dream? Is this really my choice? Or am I simply afraid to disappoint everyone else? Because the moment you start asking these questions, you begin taking control of your own life. And that's not disrespect. That's not disrespect. And that's not disrespect. That's self awareness. Your culture can be a part of you, your family can be a part of you, your history can be part of you, but none of these things have to completely define you. You are allowed to become your own person. And maybe the most powerful thing you can say is, I respect where I came from, but I still have the right to decide where I'm going.